You write down 10 tasks in the morning. By noon, your desk is buried under new requests, and you haven't crossed a single item off. The automatic reaction to this pressure is to write longer lists and try to do 3 things at once. But rapidly switching your attention between tasks incurs a cognitive penalty. Your brain takes time to refocus, which degrades the quality of your work and slows your actual completion rate to a crawl. True time management is an exercise in active capacity allocation. It requires calculating exactly how many hours of focused energy you have, rather than attempting to execute an infinite list of chores at higher speeds. To achieve deep focus, you must trade the comforting illusion of being constantly busy for the high-friction reality of making yourself selectively inaccessible. We analyzed 50 lectures and case studies to extract the 10 most effective time management habits used by strict high performers. This diagram shows how these 10 habits form a specific operational architecture. We can group them into 3 distinct pillars: architecture for planning, filtration for prioritizing, and velocity for execution. We will dissect the precise input required to make each habit work, alongside the psychological trade-off you must accept to maintain it. Attempting to patch your routine with a random productivity hack without knowing which of these 3 pillars is currently broken guarantees your system will fail. Architecture is the foundational phase. It requires mapping exactly where your time goes, rather than relying on where you assume it goes. This brings us to habit 9, time auditing and nightly planning. Spending 15 minutes every night to map out your next day eliminates morning decision fatigue entirely. The trade-off for this clarity is harsh. You have to confront the uncomfortable, data-backed reality of exactly how many hours you waste daily on distractions. Once you know your baseline, you apply habit 1, time blocking. You abandon the traditional to-do list entirely and assign strict calendar slots for every single task you need to accomplish. Breaking the day into microblocks forces you to confront the limits of your schedule. Executives like Elon Musk utilize this exact method to maintain focus and drastically increase their task completion rates. Legacy founders like Bill Gates also rely entirely on this strict scheduling methodology to manage complex global operations without losing hours to indecision. The penalty for time blocking is a complete loss of spontaneous flexibility. You are required to adhere rigidly to the calendar you built, regardless of your mood in the moment. The architecture pillar solves the problem of knowing what to do, but forces you to sacrifice the psychological comfort of going with the flow. Filtration is the phase of ruthless prioritization. You must decide what actually deserves one of those hard-earned slots on your newly blocked calendar. This is a 2x2 quadrant chart, plotting urgency on the horizontal axis and importance on the vertical axis. It illustrates habit 2, the Eisenhower matrix, a system that forces every incoming task through a strict filter. The top half of the matrix captures your core obligations. The do first quadrant is for immediate crises, while the schedule quadrant holds tasks that drive long-term value and require blocked time. The bottom half exposes tasks that secretly drain your capacity. The delegate quadrant catches urgent requests that don't require your specific skills, and the delete quadrant isolates total wastes of time. This framework was developed by Dwight D. Eisenhower to process the overwhelming complexity of planning military operations and managing a presidency. This aligns with habit 6, the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. It highlights the mathematical reality that 20% of your focused effort reliably drives 80% of your desired results. The trade-off here requires you to admit that the vast majority of your daily tasks do not actually matter, a reality many find difficult to accept. To protect that vital 20%, you apply habits 8 and 10, learning to say no and utilizing the 4 Ds. These are active mechanisms for rejecting non-essential requests. The 4 Ds, do, defer, delegate, and delete, act as the ultimate filtration mechanism. If a task isn't an absolute necessity for you to do right now, you push it back, hand it off, or drop it entirely. Implementing this means enduring the short-term social friction of telling people no. It also requires you to pay the upfront time cost of training someone else to handle your delegated tasks. Filtration protects your core hours. It is a direct, unavoidable trade of people-pleasing for high-yield output. Velocity is the final phase. This is the process of executing your heavily filtered, rigidly scheduled tasks with maximum momentum and zero hesitation. You start with habit 3, often called eat that frog. This dictates that you execute your most difficult, highest-stakes task at hour 0 of your workday. Tackling the hardest thing first kills procrastination instantly and guarantees a productive day. The trade-off is that it demands your peak cognitive energy first thing in the morning, before you have naturally warmed up. Once you start, you rely on habit 4, deep work. This means completely isolating yourself from phones, tabs, and coworkers to eliminate the cost of attention switching and extract maximum quality from your focus. The trade-off for deep work is severe. You must accept the professional and personal friction of being totally inaccessible for set blocks of time. This graph charts effort against time, illustrating habit 5, Parkinson's law. This psychological principle states that work will automatically expand to fill the total time you allot to it. Give yourself 3 weeks, and you will drag the workout for 21 days. The solution is to set artificial deadlines to force efficiency. However, overusing this tactic creates a permanent state of high urgency, which eventually guarantees burnout. For the tiny items that slip through, you apply habit 7, the 2-minute rule. If a microtask takes under 120 seconds, you execute it immediately, rather than taking the time to log it. This clears your mental workspace immediately. But be careful. Allowing a 2-minute task to interrupt a scheduled deep work block will destroy your momentum entirely. Velocity does not mean rushing. It means removing the friction of starting a task and mitigating the heavy drag of outside distraction. Building your system requires choosing specific habits based on your exact operational bottleneck. If you are an overwhelmed beginner, you need to explicitly ignore the majority of this list. Trying to adopt all 10 habits at once will cause massive system shock. Bypass complex time blocking entirely. Use only the 2-minute rule to clear daily clutter, and rely on Eat That Frog to secure one major difficult win every morning. If you are an optimizer, your bottleneck is no longer planning. You already know what to do. Your issue is maximizing the output of your execution. You need to pair deep work with Parkinson's law. Artificially compress your project timelines and isolate yourself to extract maximum value from every hour. Finally, if you are a capacity-capped professional, your core problem is boundary management, not execution speed. You are simply agreeing to do too much. Adopt the 80-20 rule to find what actually matters, master the 4 Ds, and embrace the friction of saying no to survive your workload. You cannot actually manage time. It passes regardless. You can only manage your energy, your boundaries, and your focus. Choose your trade-offs wisely.